Charlie Allen's last known whereabouts, may hold the clues to what happened to him. 22-year-old college student and tennis buff Charlie Allen goes after life with gusto.
He would eat, sleep, and breathe tennis.
If he wanted to be good at something, he wanted to be the best.
One afternoon, in typical Charlie fashion, he makes plans with a buddy to go to a party.
Charlie was really excited about the chance to go talk to girls and just have a good time.
But he never shows up. On a chilly October night in 2007, Charlie Allen Jr. disappears.
I was trying him on his phone, no response.
The mystery deepens when his Facebook account is abruptly deleted, and he warns his family that people may be after him.
He said there are people after him, and he's not safe.
Police are baffled by the bizarre case.
In my time here as a police officer, we've never encountered a story such as this.
And his loved ones find themselves ricocheting between hope and despair.
I just felt like, he'll call tomorrow. It would just be too unbearable to think otherwise.
It's a chilly evening in southeastern Massachusetts in October 2007. 22-year-old UMass Dartmouth student Charlie Allen is running barefoot and shirtless along a wooded road a few miles from campus. The tennis junkie, who was once one of the world's top-ranked online gamers, is sure that someone is after him and that neither he nor his family is safe. This dash into the night will resonate with Charlie's loved ones as the moment everything went wrong. In high school, Charlie becomes interested in online gaming, competitions in which multiple players compete over the internet. He becomes especially good at the game Half-Life.
He was very determined. He would put a lot of time and effort into anything to make himself the best, and he was the best.
When Charlie first got into online gaming, he fell in love with it. He wanted to be #1.
Charlie's gamer name is Neo, and he soon becomes one of the top-ranked Half-Life players in the world, even traveling to Texas for a tournament.
He was considered the #1 player in the world. Standings, his stats, if you looked him up online, that would easily tell that.
He was very well regarded, one of the best in the world, and a lot of people knew him for that. They wrote articles about him and that kind of thing, so it was pretty impressive.
I remember in high school, and some stranger walked up to me and was like, "Are you Neo's sister?" It's like, yeah, I guess so. I was like, I love him. Breathe tennis.
He was always a happy-go-lucky guy, always had a positive attitude.
On the courts at UMass Dartmouth, Charlie meets fellow student Mason Vio.
I had gone down there to practice. I had seen him. He had asked me to hit, so we started hitting and we got it off from there.
The two quickly bond over their mutual love of tennis.
Charlie was a quick learner. He had developed his skills pretty quickly, and he had a good forehand. He liked coming to the net, and he was able to stay out there with anyone.
Charlie is fascinated when Mason tells him he trained at tennis academies in Florida, something Charlie aspires to do himself.
Charlie wanted to get a lot better. He had always said he wanted to go down south and just train to see how good he could get.
At 2 o'clock on Thursday, October 11th, 2007, Charlie and Mason meet on the courts to practice.
We had practiced for 2.5 hours, just playing a little bit and just doing some drills. Nothing really seemed out of the ordinary. We had a great practice.
Charlie tells Mason that he's been invited to a party later that evening by a member of the girls' tennis team. He asks Mason to join him.
He was really excited about the party, the chance to go talk to girls on the tennis team and just have a good time. Charlie was really excited and was happy that we were both going to go.
The two friends grab dinner at the school cafeteria and then go their separate ways to shower and clean up. They agree to meet back on campus at 8:30 and go to the party together. Around 6 p.m., Mason heads to his house nearly a half hour away. Mason assumes Charlie is headed to his off-campus apartment in nearby New Bedford.
I had told Charlie that I would see him later tonight and the party should be good, and I will give you a call when I get back.
At 8 o'clock that night, at her apartment in Providence, Charlie's sister Brittany is checking her Facebook account.
We talked to each other on Facebook every day. He loved Facebook.
Charlie had messaged her earlier that evening, and she wanted to get back to him. But when she logs on, she is shocked at what she finds. Coming up, in a matter of moments, Charlie's world appears to unravel.
I could hear over the phone, his heart dropping. He got really scared.
Famous among his friends and family for his passion for tennis, 22-year-old Charlie Allen Jr. is finishing up his senior year of college. October 11th, 2007, his sister Brittany logs onto Facebook to respond to a message Charlie sent her earlier. She is thrown by what she discovers.
His account was deleted. He didn't exist on there anymore. And so I thought it was crazy that all of a sudden he would delete it and he wouldn't even tell me.
Brittany calls Charlie to find out what happened.
At first I was just like, hey, what are you doing? And he was like, I'm walking, just thinking about going to this girl's party. I was like, okay, well, called because I was wondering, why did you delete your Facebook? And I could just like hear over the phone him, like his heart dropping. It was like all of a sudden, he got really scared.
Brittany is confused when Charlie tells her he has no idea what happened to his Facebook page and that he didn't delete it.
And then he just started panicking. He's talking really fast, just in a panic.
What Charlie tells her next is stunning.
There are people after him, and he's not safe, and I'm not safe. It's like, you have to leave school right now. You have to go home, stay with Dad. Dad's the only one who can protect you. There are really important people after me. I've sent some emails, and I'm not safe. Right before he hung up, he said, all the answers are in the periodic table of elements.
Distraught and bewildered, Brittany calls her father.
I was really freaked out, and I called my dad crying, and I was like, I don't know what's going on, but Charlie he just scared me.
Brittany had been very close to Charlie, but with the way that he was talking to her, she was very concerned about his well-being. And at the same time, my wife and I both had received cell phone messages from Charlie where he sounded like he was running and talking about maybe heading south. You know, it was definitely concerning.
In the message Charlie leaves for his father, he mentions Mexico and Florida. In the voicemail he leaves for his mother, he talks of Texas.
I had a message from Charlie, which was really out of character of him. He had told me that he needs to be loved more and that he felt isolated. He was running at the time that he was talking to me. He was out of breath. Then he kind of hung up abruptly. And I tried calling him back, and he had turned off his cell phone.
Charlie's parents and sister all try to reach him on his cell phone, but every call goes to voicemail. That same evening, on the UMass Dartmouth campus, Mason heads to the campus parking lot where he and Charlie are meeting to go to the party together. But Charlie never shows.
I'd waited about a half an hour to 45 minutes before I had left. I figured Charlie probably went to the party and just forgot about me.
Mason tries one more time to reach Charlie. He gets voicemail and heads home. Meanwhile, Charlie's mother, father, and sister keep trying, but fail to reach him.
Charlie had taken off a couple of times, usually just to go see a tennis tournament. He'd always get in touch with us the same day or the next day, and so we figured he'd turn up the next day.
But Charlie doesn't turn up, and he doesn't call. His parents notify the university that Charlie has vanished. October 14th, 2007. 3 days after Charlie is last seen, police are called to investigate something suspicious a homeowner found in his backyard. Detective Robert Levinson of the Dartmouth Police Department is the patrolman on duty.
On Sunday, October 14th, at around 11 o'clock in the morning, I was dispatched to a residence in town for some found property. Specifically, it was a backpack, a school-type backpack.
Levinson looks through the backpack and finds a notebook.
The name in the notebook was Charles Allen. I contacted the university campus, and from there I found out that Charles Allen Jr. had been reported missing.
Because why would he leave his car?
Monday, October 15th, the day after the car and backpack are discovered. Officer Levinson is talking about the case with a fellow cop. When he describes Charlie, his colleague tells him that the college student sounds just like a suspect in another case.
There had actually been a housebreak not too far away from the campus.
In the early morning hours of Friday, October 12th, a little more than 6 hours after Brittany last spoke to her brother, Jean Boudreau wakes to find someone with no shirt on climbing through her second-floor bedroom window.
When she awoke, she had a brief conversation with this gentleman who had entered her window.
And he says, "Oh, excuse me, ma'am, I'm just leaving." He was looking for his friend Mason, and then he just proceeded to go out the window. He was actually very polite.
Levinson is sure it's Charlie. The physical description is a match, and he has already learned that Charlie has a friend named Mason.
Just based on the physical description and the clothing description of the person who entered this resident's home, that person was more than likely Charlie Allen.
This discovery only intensifies the mystery. Charlie's tennis buddy lives nowhere near the home that was broken into.
It was a good 30 minutes away, and he had known where I lived. So I thought that was a little strange.
It didn't make any sense to me.
Coming up, the search for Charlie becomes more urgent.
Time was of the essence to find him before he had hurt himself or something even worse.
College student Charlie Allen Jr. leaves a series of worrisome messages on his parents' cell phone. And after a disturbing conversation with his sister, he disappears. When investigators seemingly tie the 22-year-old to a break-in at a home several miles from Charlie's UMass campus, the case becomes even more puzzling.
Charlie was not a known criminal. This wasn't his normal behavior to break into someone's house.
But police learned something about Charlie that they think may explain this behavior.
The father told me that his son was bipolar and manic depressive, and he had acted irrational at times, and he might not have been taking his medication as he was supposed to. So it would all make sense that he was in some type of a manic state, and he was acting irrational.
Years earlier in high school, Charlie was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, a condition that involves alternating periods of mania and depression.
He became a bit manic, and was a pretty big change for him. He had been somewhat shy in school up to that point, and suddenly he was very outgoing, and it was noticeable. When he was manic, he talked a lot and fast, and he had somewhat grandiose thoughts. When he was diagnosed in high school, he took medication for some period of time and started seeing a therapist and seemed to do better. He finished high school, graduated, and it went well when he went to college.
But in recent years, Charlie had an on-again, off-again relationship with his psychiatric medication.
When they diagnosed him with bipolar disorder and they put him on, mood stabilizers, he said he wasn't the same. He felt, dead inside. He didn't get happy or sad. I remember one time I was so upset about something, hysterically crying to him about it, and he looked at me and he was like, "I'm just jealous that you can feel like that, feel passionately about something, even if it's bad," because he didn't.
The summer before he disappeared, Charlie stops taking the drugs altogether.
Eventually, he stopped taking the medication on his own. Things had leveled out. He tried to maintain his physical well-being in relationship to his mental well-being, and he seemed like he was somewhat under control doing it that way.
He was like, I wasn't alive before. I feel like I'm living for the first time.
Police suspect Charlie's disappearance is connected to his bipolar disorder, and that off his medication, he may have slipped into a manic state.
We believed that we were dealing with a mentally ill individual, and time was of the essence to find him before he had hurt himself or something even worse.
But the people who know Charlie best, his family and friends, find it impossible to believe that Charlie's condition is serious enough to make him want to disappear.
People don't understand, mental illness, where people call mental illness, and once they hear that label, it's like, oh, he probably just ran away, or he's probably schizophrenic, he has no idea, he's just crazy. I think he's more sane than anyone I've ever met.
Even when Charlie was manic, he always made sense. He never lost touch with reality.
Charlie's mother, who saw him just days before he disappeared, says there would usually be a build-up to a manic episode, and during her recent visit with her son, there was no evidence of that at all.
It starts off slow and it builds and it builds and it builds. That's the way it was with Charlie. You just don't lose your mind in 1 minute and run away.
There were no signs indicating that he was going to have a breakdown of any kind, so it all seemed a little strange to me.
In fact, Mason, who saw Charlie several times a week, had no idea his friend was bipolar.
That was news to me because he had always been really level-headed, happy-go-lucky. It hung out with him a lot. There was nothing to suggest that he was depressed or bipolar at all.
But in hindsight, Mason does remember something a little odd from the last day he saw Charlie.
At dinner time, Charlie and I went to the school cafeteria, and when we had sat down, he reached across to grab pizza from my plate. I thought that was a little strange. I'd mentioned it, and he said he thought that it was his slice of pizza. We both kind of laughed it off.
In another strange twist, police also learned that shortly before he disappeared, Charlie legally changed his name from Charles Allen Jr. to Neo Babson Maximus.
One day, I got home from work, and he's like, check this out. I changed my name. And he took out his license, and he showed it to me, and it said, Neo Babson Maximus. And I just laughed. I was like, you serious? What the hell is this? I just kind of like brushed it aside, like, I'm still calling you Charlie. I'm not calling you Neo in the public.
Neo, Charlie's online gaming name, is taken from the movie The Matrix, while Maximus comes from the film Gladiator. Babson is a family name.
I asked him why, and he wanted it to be different. And he wanted to be the best tennis player in the world. That was his goal. And he thought that it sounded a lot better if he had a different name.
Charlie didn't talk widely of the name change. In fact, many are later surprised to find out about it.
Charlie had never mentioned anything about changing his name. I did not know Charlie had changed his name until after he had gone missing.
Police see the name change as further evidence of Charlie's troubled state of mind.
I don't know what makes a person decide to change their name. Not only do we have a person that's missing, we have an individual that legally changed his name. And perhaps, did he do that to escape his past, to start a new life? Maybe, I don't know. I guess there's so many possible answers out there.
Charlie's family last heard from him on a Thursday. A week later, there is still no word.
I just felt like, he'll call tomorrow. It would just be too unbearable to think otherwise.
His parents think back to the baffling voicemails he left each of them just before his disappearance, talking about heading south. His last conversation with his sister Brittany is equally confusing. Charlie told Brittany that people were after him and he wasn't safe. But none of his friends are aware of any danger he may have been facing, or any enemies he may have had.
Charlie didn't have any enemies. I mean, he was just a happy guy and was everyone's friend. So for him to have enemies was a little far-fetched, it seemed.
The kid wasn't really a troublesome kid. I mean, he never picked fights. He wasn't like a mean person. I don't know why he said that.
Police don't find any evidence to indicate that anyone is after Charlie or that he had been in danger. But Charlie's mother and sister don't believe Charlie's fears are imaginary.
I didn't think that there was any chance in hell that he was just having an illusion that there were people after him. I could tell that he was being honest. He was really scared, and I believe it.
Coming up, could Charlie have hitched a ride out of town?
I feel confident that it was that student.
Charlie Allen Jr. is last seen in early October 2007. The college student suffers from bipolar disorder, and police seemingly link him to a home break-in. Law enforcement devotes every resource available to search around the UMass Dartmouth campus and in neighboring New Bedford.
I think the fact that Charlie did suffer from some type of mental illness made it all the more urgent to search the woods and to reach out to as many people who knew Charlie and that maybe had seen him within the last few days before he disappeared.
Police find Charlie's sneakers along a road not far from the house he allegedly broke into, which seems to confirm their suspicion that he was the shirtless intruder.
The search escalated from the use of Massachusetts State Police helicopter to a widespread search with multiple people searching for Charlie in the wooded area. It's a very dense wooded area in that part of Dartmouth.
Now, with no shirt, no shoes, and wearing just a pair of warm-up pants, how far could the college student have made it in the cool, rainy October weather?
If anybody could figure out a way to survive, it would be Charlie. He knew how to take care of himself, and so he was definitely the type of person that would find a way if he wanted to.
When Charlie's family reports that he had a very active online life, police check Charlie's computer for possible clues to his whereabouts.
There was nothing really all that helpful on his computer that would lead us in a different direction. The detective who checked the computer did not report anything out of the ordinary.
The only finding of interest is that one of the last pages Charlie looked at online was a website for the University of Texas. In the voicemail he left for his mother, he mentioned going to Texas. Had Charlie been researching a secret move south?
We contacted the university down there and just to inquire whether Charlie had in fact applied at that university, and we were told that no, there was no file with his name attached to it.
If Charlie had an interest in going to Texas, he would tell me, because he knows I would say, if you want to do that, honey, do it.
Charlie's mother is more concerned with what police didn't find on his computer. Charlie had told his sister he was in trouble because he had sent some emails to important people, but those emails are nowhere to be found. In fact, all of Charlie's recent emails are missing.
There were no emails before he went missing. There were no emails from October 11, 10th, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. But I just thought it was really strange.
Blows my mind that we could give Charlie's computer to the police to do the forensics, and someone who lived his entire life on the computer. They found nothing. He, lived a virtual life, and they found nothing.
If there is any truth to the notion that someone was after Charlie, could they have tampered with his computer and purposely wiped it clean? Or could it have been Charlie himself who did it? Could the online phenom have intended to take himself off the grid?
If he wanted to change his identity, I'm pretty sure he could have done it. I mean, he's pretty creative in, the terms of being able to, act, and be something, different. He did change his name, so I guess in a sense his identity was kind of altered already.
According to his friends and family, Charlie had a knack for mastering things quickly. Could he have been equally adept at setting up his own disappearance? Was changing his name a first step in creating a new identity?
Sure. He loved his apartment, he loved his classes, he loved playing tennis, and then all of a sudden it's all gone.
Charlie has been missing for more than a week. With no news concerning his whereabouts, his family is getting increasingly desperate.
We couldn't sleep, trouble eating, crying all day. It was just unimaginable. It actually was just, difficult to function. Every second of every day, you'd be thinking about it. And it's just totally unimaginable.
Did Charlie flee in a manic state brought on by bipolar disorder? Did he decide to create a new identity someplace else? Or, as he told his sister, were people really after him?
There are numerous scenarios as to what could have happened to Charlie Allen. He was in our town, someone had seen him, someone had interacted with him. After that, it's anyone's guess what happened.
Finally, a few weeks after Charlie is last seen, a witness comes forward. Jim Costa is an electric company troubleshooter. On a Saturday morning in October 2007, he leaves early for work.
Driving down Cross Road, I did notice a young man, no shirt on, and he looked rather disheveled. He looked shaken. He didn't look that good. And I saw that young man walking towards a truck, maybe to ask for help, or maybe he was slept in that truck. I didn't know.
While the young man sounds like he could be Charlie, Costa is not able to remember exactly when he saw him, the Saturday just days after Charlie disappeared, or the Saturday a week later.
If it was the right day, I feel confident that it was that student.
The intersection is near the UMass Dartmouth campus. It is also along Route 6, a major thoroughfare that feeds right onto Interstate 195.
We haven't been able to confirm if that was in fact Charlie.
But if it was, what happened? Did he approach the truck driver for help or a ride?
It's possible he could have gotten on the truck and left the area. That opens up a whole new door for us, or for the family. It gives us hope that maybe Charlie is alive.
December 2007. Charlie has been missing for more than 2 months, and the trail is growing cold.
After a certain time frame in any investigation, after a couple of searches had been conducted, the phone stopped ringing. The leads just weren't coming in. We sort of hit a wall in the investigation.
It just became more excruciating. Anxiety increased tenfold every day with nothing being found.
While Charlie's shoes and backpack were quickly located, there is no sign of his cell phone or his wallet. His father keeps Charlie's bank and cell phone accounts active, just in case.
The bank card was never used after he had disappeared, and actually the cell phone itself, I still have the account active, just in case. Every time the phone rang here at home, it would be, your heart would jump. You think it's him or somebody calling about him. Every time, you hear a car pull up or somebody come to the door, you think it could be him.
For about 5 or 6 months, I called him every single day, multiple times. I'd leave him like voicemails and stuff, to the point where you couldn't leave him voicemails anymore. The phone would just keep ringing or it would just hang up on you.
Charlie's family prays for answers. But as the days wear on, they are left with only questions. Where is he? What happened to him, and why hasn't he called? It is impossible for them to believe that Charlie has intentionally cut them off. But it is even more horrifying to imagine that he may have done so against his will.
So it's just like you're suspended. Sometimes I pray for answers and then I think, oh wait, is that really what I want? What if, he's dead, but it still eats away at you, You can't find peace unless you figure it out.
Coming up, a group of private investigators and a fresh search offer new and disturbing leads in the case.
When we got the call, our hearts just dropped.
Disappearance of 22-year-old college student Charlie Allen Jr. devastates his family and confounds police.
It's very frustrating. Is it possible he's out there and doesn't really remember who he is? I don't know. I personally would like to believe that he's alive and he's out there somewhere.
Several months after Charlie's disappearance, his family is dismayed by the lack of movement in the investigation. They reach out to a private investigator, John Lassis.
Charlie Allen Sr. contacted me, and they were just devastated that they hadn't been able to locate him. Described him as very intelligent, loved his family, and they knew that he was off his medication. He was manic. He believed that he was being stalked. People were after him and his family.
Lassis takes on the case pro bono and forms a cold case team with several other PIs to help. They start by considering the area where Charlie was last seen and weighing whether or not he could still be somewhere in the vicinity.
Could he be in the woods? Absolutely. He may have committed suicide. He may have fallen into foul play. It's all a possibility.
The first order of business is to organize a new and comprehensive search of the 4-square-mile wooded area bordering UMass Dartmouth. The terrain is dense and difficult to navigate. Alive or dead, if Charlie is in the woods, Lassis is confident that they'll find him. Police have already explored the area, but Lassis and his partners plan a much larger and deeper search, employing ground searchers, ATVs, helicopters, canine units, and cadaver dogs. More than 300 people take part, and the massive effort kicks off on the year anniversary of Charlie's disappearance.
This search is the largest civilian-run search that we're aware of in New England.
Private investigator Alan Tate coordinates the search. As guides, he uses Charlie's last known location, as well as where his shoes and backpack were found.
To search this area here, although on the map it looks nice, wide, and open, on the ground it's very thick and very difficult for ground searchers to navigate through.
Charlie's friend Anthony is one of the many volunteer searchers.
I was kind of hoping we didn't find anything, because obviously who wants to, I mean, you want closure sometimes, but at the same time, I mean, I'm the type where I don't want to give up, so it's like I don't want like an ending that's not positive.
But on the third day of the search, a team including Charlie's own cousin comes across some bones.
When we got the call, our hearts just dropped. Obviously, after that period of time, you know, it's almost like you might expect it's going to happen, that they would find him. You know, so it was, your hearts drop, but you feel like this is finally it.
For like 24 hours, we didn't know if they were his bones. It's not a fun situation to be in.
When they found the bones, I couldn't even describe to you what that feels like. We just pretty much died.
But the bones turn out to be animal, not human remains.
It was difficult to do the search, but it was something that was necessary to do. We knew it needed to be done, and in my opinion, the outcome was good. You know, that he wasn't found.
I was just exhilarated. You didn't find anything.
I don't believe that Charlie is in the woods. I believe at this point that Charlie made it out.
But where did he go? While the search indicates that it is unlikely Charlie or his body is in the woods, it still offers no clues to what happened to the college student.
There's so many different ways you can look at it. I personally am trying to remain positive. I'd like to think that he's out there somewhere and he's still alive. I think that if Charlie had passed away, I think we would have come across him by now.
The only place to go with this investigation right now is to assume that he is alive and see if we can find him.
As the months pass, there is no word from Charlie and no sign of him anywhere. The investigation appears to have hit a dead end, but his friends remain hopeful.
I feel like wherever he wanted to go, he had a plan. And if the plan didn't work out, you know, 100% the way he wanted it to, the way he thinks, he would have a backup plan. He would have ways of getting by if stuff didn't go the way he wanted it to go.
I think Charlie wandered off. I think he probably is somewhere down south playing tennis like he wanted to.
December 2009. More than 2 years since Charlie disappeared, there's a possible sighting of him much closer to home.
It was about 4 o'clock in the morning, and I was sleeping.
Stephen Kelly and his wife are asleep in bed in their New Bedford, Massachusetts home, 11 miles from the UMass Dartmouth campus.
I heard the door knock. So, you know, I ran to the door, and I opened the door, and there was a young man standing at the door. Wasn't dressed for the weather. He shouldn't have been outside at 4 o'clock in the morning. He said he needed help getting back to SMU.
SMU stands for Southeastern Massachusetts University, what UMass Dartmouth was called until 1991.
My wife was panicking. She thought that it was maybe going to be like home invasion if I went outside. So we shut the door and called the police.
But by the time police get there, the young man is nowhere to be found. The next day, Kelly's wife mentions the incident to a friend, who tells her about Charlie's disappearance. When Kelly hears about it, he looks up pictures of the UMass student online.
When I looked at the pictures, I'm like, that's the kid that was standing at our front door.
Could it have been Charlie Allen? Kelly tells police he thinks it was.
He said close to 100%, which is very high for someone to, make that type of a statement. But, I believe in his mind that, he really felt that he saw Charlie. It brings sort of a new element to this whole investigation. When I think about it sometimes, I think this is it's such an odd story that sometimes you almost wonder, if it's real or not.
It would be a wonderful movie of the week if Charlie shows up some morning on the doorstep of his parents and asks if he can come home. So that's my hope.
Charlie's information and fingerprints are entered into the National Crime Information Center database.
In the future, if Charlie is placed under arrest or protective custody, and if his fingerprints are checked, it will show that he's a missing person.
To date, there have been no hits.
In my time here as a police officer, we've never encountered a story such as this. So you just want answers. I know the family wants it. I know all the investigators. We just want to know. We want to know what happened to Charlie Allen Jr. All we ask for is some closure, I think. That's what the family deserves, at least. He's still out there, somewhere.
Charlie's family continues to hope that Charlie is safe and that they will one day hear from him.
Charlie would never just disappear. And he knows me well enough and his family to know that how much it would hurt. I have no idea where he is or if he's alive. It's like the ultimate internal struggle. Because you can't really grieve over something that you don't know.
I don't believe for 1 minute that Charlie left because he wanted to. He just wouldn't.
I have to hold out hope that Charlie's still out there. I have no other choice. I can't give in to the thought that I'll never see him again.
When a person disappears without a trace, often the most critical information is hidden in their actions and words from the days before they vanished. Patricia Biola's last known whereabouts may hold the clues to what happened to her. A devoted New Jersey housewife and mother of 2 inexplicably vanishes in the middle of a routine school day.
Everything appeared the way it would on any other given day.
Her pocketbook with all her personal belongings was in the house, and she was gone.
At first, there seems to be no trace, but it's not long before hidden animosities come to light.
I have never seen Pat react that way. She was not herself.
And a decade-long police investigation reveals this small town is not as idyllic as it appears.
Burglars do hit homes. It does happen.
The exact words were, "I killed the old girl."
February 13th, 2001. It's a cold afternoon in Bogota, New Jersey, a quiet town just across the George Washington Bridge and seemingly a universe away from the throng of New York City.
Bogota's a small town. It's about 7/10 of a mile. We're about 2 miles outside of New York City.
40-year-old Jim Biola has left his 9-to-5 job as an engineer at Honeywell early. As he navigates traffic from Morristown to Bogota, he thinks of his wife, Pat, who's probably at home preparing dinner, as she has every day for the last 14 years of their married life together. But as he walks through the back door of his house, balancing Valentine's Day gifts in his briefcase, he's surprised to discover the burglar alarm has been activated, and Pat's not home.
I was quite shocked because when you open the back door, the first thing you hear is the beeping, that the alarm is set. So I dropped everything that I had in my hand and ran over to the panel because they only give you like 20, 30 seconds before the alarm will trip. At the same time, I'm thinking, where is Pat? It was very unusual.
In this household, where routines run like clockwork, something's suddenly amiss.
If you're the type of person who's home every day at 5 o'clock, and for the last 5 years you've been at home at 5 o'clock, and somebody comes to your house at 5:05 and you're not there, they can report you missing.
Pat is the kind of woman whose entire life revolves around the stable comforts of home. Just a few weeks earlier, 42-year-old Pat Viola was beaming as she presented one of her famous homemade birthday cakes on the evening of her son Michael's 10th birthday party.
I don't remember what presents I got, but we had a big cake. Everyone came over, and it was a lot of fun.
When it comes to birthdays and holidays, she wanted to get the perfect gift for you.
At least outwardly, the Viola family has seemed picture perfect since Pat and Jim met in 1982. On the day he interviewed for his current job, Jim noticed the young woman working in the personnel department right away.
I thought she was cute. I liked her right off the bat.
Once they did start dating, it was just meant to be. It was a love story.
The romance blossomed, and Pat and Jim got married in 1986.
The day of Pat's wedding, she was radiant. Her eyes were like jewels.
The Violas quickly have 2 children, a girl and a boy.
Yeah, we just living the dream, I guess you could say.
Pat and Jim assume life will always be this sweet. On the morning of February 13th, 2001, the day before Valentine's Day, life in the Viola household is chugging along on its usual schedule. There's not a single hint of the upheaval that will ensue later that afternoon.
February 13th was an everyday for the Viola family. They were up early, they had to get 2 kids ready for school, and Jim had to go off to work.
And I remember seeing Pat that morning. She seemed to be a little bit down, maybe. She wished me luck a couple times, and she just sounded a little sad.
But to Jim, Pat's mood isn't extreme enough to make him worry. Plus, he's focused on a big presentation he has to give at work that day, and he's out the door by 6:30 a.m. 13-year-old Christine and 10-year-old Michael are packed and ready to leave for school by 8:15. Then, Pat prepares to leave herself. Just before 8:30, she bundles up, leaves her house on Chestnut Avenue, and makes her way along the 2 short blocks to her son's elementary school.
Pat had to get ready herself to go in to be the volunteer school librarian at the children's school.
Pat has been working at the library for over 2 years and relishes the opportunity to be around her children during the day.
The library was just like any other day at the library. She went, she did exactly what she was supposed to do.
But while Pat is going about her regular activities, shelving books and processing checkouts, something unusual happens back at home.
Well, at some point during the morning, the house alarm went off. They do have a house alarm, and it went off.
The alarm company follows protocol. They try Pat at the house, Jim at his office, and then Pat's mother, who lives nearby. Pat's mother leaves a worried message for her daughter at home. The alarm company call is also routed through to the Bogota police station.
Our officers responded like we do on every other house alarm. They checked, they looked for the windows, they checked the doors. The officers went, They checked all the areas, nothing appeared to be damaged or bothered, and they called back in service.
Meanwhile, Pat continues working, unaware of the alarm. She has a cell phone, but she rarely uses it, so no one tries to call her at the library. At about 11:40 a.m., a mailman waves to Pat as she walks home. Inside the house, she hears the message from her mother about the alarm and calls her back to reassure her that everything seems fine.
The phone call to her mother was the last time that we could actually document someone had spoken to Pat.
About an hour later, Pat does one last traceable task. According to a report from the security company, she performs a reset on the house alarm at 1:11 p.m.
All alarms have codes, and only certain people would know those codes, so it's not like you could just walk into somebody's house and guess a code and punch it in correctly. If you punch it in wrong, the alarm will go off again.
Because of the tripped alarm that morning, Pat would have needed to reset the system in order to use it again.
So it does prove that she's in the house at 1:11 p.m. But after that, we really don't know what happened.
When Jim Viola walks in the door and realizes his wife Pat is gone, there's an eerie quiet. As Jim surveys the house, the scene begins to look even more bizarre. Pat's coat is gone, but her purse is sitting on the counter. When Jim searches the bag, he's baffled by what she left behind.
Her pocketbook with all her personal belongings, her cell phone, ID, and keys was in the house, and she was gone.
Also on the counter is a single key. It's the key the family uses to bolt the back door, and until now, it's always been lodged in the door's deadbolt. Pat has also failed to take something crucial with her, medication that she must take twice a day.
You're telling yourself this can't be happening. She has to be around somewhere.
Coming up, the Viola family is astounded to discover an unknown side of Pat.
I remember Pat walking in the door here. She was not herself.
Viola has just returned home from work at 4:30 on a bitter cold February day. The house looks to be in its usual pristine order, but his wife of 14 years, Pat, is missing.
There does not appear to be any signs of foul play, nothing knocked over, nothing banged around, nothing broken, nothing turned upside down. Everything appeared the way it would on any other given day.
Except for one thing. Pat's purse with all her personal belongings is still in the house, including medication she takes twice a day for epilepsy. Pat Viola had been diagnosed with epilepsy at the age of 12. By 2001, she'd been living with the disease for 30 years, and she knew how to handle it.
But every once in a while, maybe once or twice a year, she would take a seizure.
Pat keeps her condition under control by being vigilant about taking her medication regularly. It's now almost 5. Her next dose is due in a few hours, and if she misses it, she'll be at risk for a seizure. Jim goes to pick up the kids who have been playing at friends' houses. But when he returns, 45 minutes later, Pat's still not home.
I didn't panic just yet. It's possible that she had gone out to the local store to go shopping for Valentine's Day gifts, or maybe even taking a bus to the mall.
Jim pulls out the local bus schedule. He knows she didn't drive anywhere because a few months earlier, her driver's license had been taken from her. In November of 2000, a disturbing event occurred in the Viola house, and it had a powerful ripple effect on the winter that followed.
Michael and I were at a hockey game. My sister was here with Pat, and Pat took a major grand mal seizure. Ambulance was called, and she landed in the hospital. She recovered, but it was a pretty bad seizure.
The seizure was so severe that her doctor recommended her driver's license be suspended for 3 months.
When Pat lost her driving privilege, it was a major downer for her.
Throughout the Christmas holidays, Pat can't drive herself to the mall and enjoy the simple pleasure of buying presents for her kids. She knew she could ask a friend to drive her, But she hated to rely on someone else to do something she felt she should have been able to do herself.
She didn't like her independence taken away from her. It frightened her.
But in January, after 2 months with no more seizures, Pat holds out hope that her license will be restored at her next doctor's visit. One week before Pat Viola vanishes, she goes for a follow-up appointment with the doctor, where she receives disappointing news.
They took another blood test. The doctor said, the blood test looks pretty good, but we would like you to go another 3 months without driving. That's like a shot to the stomach.
She was so active with the kids, taking them to sports, taking them to scouts. Part of her ability to take care of them and do things for them was stripped, which could definitely play with someone's psyche.
But the suspended license isn't the only stress in Pat's life that winter.
Several family crises were occurring, one right after the other. Jim's mom took ill, and it was extremely difficult raising 2 children, going back and forth to the hospital, and maintaining regular household chores.
Adding more tension to the mix, Jim's sister Donna recently moved in with the family after a rough breakup with her boyfriend.
It was actually Pat that mentioned to Donna, you know, if you want to stay with us until you're on your feet, no problem.
But as the winter wears on, it becomes tiresome for Pat to take care of yet another person.
Donna smoked and she used to smoke in the house. After Donna would leave to go off to work, Pat would go downstairs and vacuum up and make it smell real nice again. And I guess this was a nuisance.
On February 12, 2001, Pat is cleaning up Donna's bedroom and spots something maddening. Cigarette burn marks on the guest bedspread.
Pat was very worried about this. Well, you don't want to have the house burned down.
Pat agrees to talk to Donna about the burns the next morning, as there is no time to discuss the issue that night. The whole family is expected in Brooklyn at a party thrown by good family friend Toinette Fazio Markowitz. Pat and Toinette had been the best of friends from just about the moment they met on a double date with their husbands.
They were very tight. I guess you could say they loved each other like sisters.
When you find somebody that's a friend to you 24 hours a day, no matter what, that to me is a sister. And that's what it's all about.
On February 12th, at her home in Brooklyn, Toinette receives a disturbing sign that something is very wrong with her best friend.
I remember Pat walking in the door here. She looked so pretty. Makeup was perfection, but she was not herself.
Upon entering the party, Pat tells Toinette she needs to speak to her urgently in another room. Away from all the party guests, Pat begins crying and says something is wrong, but it's too complex to go into now.
She asked me please not to go away on vacation for President's Week with the plans that I had. She asked me instead if she and I could go so we could talk, that she needed to take care of something.
Toinette's shocked, but she promises to plan a getaway with Pat, anywhere she wants to go. Then, Pat says something that sends Toinette reeling. She asks her to please look after the kids, no matter what happens.
At that time, I cried into her, and she just said to me, I can't discuss it now. But it's important enough that I need you to be there to listen to me. And I could tell by her voice that it was important.
Shaken, Toinette cancels her vacation that very night. Thrown by the cryptic conversation, she calls Pat early the next morning to follow up. She's surprised to hear Pat brush off their talk from the night before and change the subject to Valentine's Day presents.
She sounded tired on the phone and a little bit like hectic. But besides for that, okay.
But when she gets off the phone, Pat displays a side of herself that no one has ever seen before. Pat storms downstairs and confronts Donna about smoking in the house.
Pat came down the steps and she seemed to be very angry and then yelling at Donna, and Donna was very shocked and bordering on tears because this was not Pat. It was out of character. I don't think I've ever seen her raise a voice at all, to anybody.
Donna described her like a raving maniac. I have never seen Pat react that way.
Were cigarette burns really enough to cause such an outburst? And what was it that she so desperately needed to tell her best friend? Coming up, the police embark on an urgent hunt for any trace of Pat.
If the person is in some type of distress, all those minutes and hours really count.
It's February 13th, 2001. Mother of two, Pat Viola, normally a creature of habit, has been missing for several hours. Night's descended on her home in Bogota, New Jersey, and her husband Jim is growing alarmed.
As the night goes along and you don't get any answers, and obviously, you're getting extremely worried.
Jim has called every friend and relative he could think of in search of Pat. And now he's facing heartbreaking questions from his two kids.
Around 11 o'clock, I turned to my dad before I went to bed, and I asked him, where's Mom? Where's she sleeping tonight? Is she okay? And he really didn't have an answer. And that was very upsetting.
That night was certainly a rough night. When you got to put your kids to bed and then their mom isn't home, it was a tough one.
At 11:58 p.m., Jim Viola calls the Bogota police and reports his wife missing. Two officers come out that night and take an official missing persons report. The next morning, the report lands on the desk of Captain James Sepp. Captain Sepp starts by examining the known factors. Pat was home at 1:11 p.m.
We can confirm she was in the house because the alarm was reset. 4:30 p.m. is when Jim Viola comes home, and she wasn't home.
So Sepp is faced with a question. How did Pat leave the house between 1:11 and 4:30 p.m. if she didn't drive?
We actually stopped all the buses in the area. We talked to the bus drivers, we spoke to the people that got on the bus, just to see if any of them recognized her.
The police then checked the call logs of every taxi company in town.
This area, you're not allowed to drive a cab and just pick people up off the street. There's no hailing cabs in this area, so it wouldn't be like a random cab just came by and she hailed it and jumped into the cab.
They go door to door, asking neighbors if anyone saw Pat Viola leave the house on foot.
We also called down to the Port Authority police, and we asked them to check logs to see if anybody with her name got into a plane. All the efforts turned nothing.
Within hours, the police investigation shifts focus from how Pat left the house to where she could be now.
As time goes by, as we start putting the hours behind us, we definitely try to ramp up our efforts, because if the person is in some type of distress, the harder we look and the faster we look, the better off we are.
The sheriff's department offers a police dog to search the railroad tracks and along the banks of the local river.
Because we might actually find somebody laying on the side of a road in a ditch, and if they're clinging to life, all those minutes and hours really count. We have to make sure that we look under every stone.
The search for Pat Viola has been ongoing locally for 3 grueling days. And now, the police need to branch out.
After a certain point in time, we have to start broadening our investigation. And anytime that you broaden your investigation, you're gonna have to look in places where you might not ordinarily want to look at.
The Bogota police organize an aerial search to cover more ground.
We had a helicopter up in the air, and they had a special device that checks for heat. It scans the area, and if there's a body laying somewhere in brush, it'll see that there's heat in the middle of an area.
After the aerial search reveals nothing, Captain Sepp examines clues regarding Pat's mental state at the time of her disappearance. When he hears about the argument with Donna, and the conversation with Toinette, he considers a grim possibility.
We did take a look at the suicide angle, and we found information that very well may fit into the pattern of someone who'd commit suicide.
The George Washington Bridge, which spans the Hudson River, is just a few miles away. The bridge has a notorious reputation for attracting people who are suicidal, but Sepp quickly rules it out.
No one in that time frame had jumped off the bridge. And if someone did jump off the bridge, they would have recovered the body from the river, and that didn't happen. However, if you go a little bit further north on the Palisade Interstate Parkway, there's an area commonly called the Cliffs. What you see is what appears to be a nice sheer rock-faced wall.
The rock wall is choked with undergrowth, and it often takes years to recover the bodies of those who've jumped there.
There's trees, there's a forest down there, and the trees actually kind of grow backwards in towards the land.
But this potential suicide location doesn't add up either. Although these cliffs are just 5 miles from her home, Pat had no way to get there. She didn't drive, and the police investigation shows she never called for a cab. What's more, everyone who knows how devoted Pat is to her family says the notion that she would commit suicide is preposterous.
There's only one answer to the question. You know the feeling when you give birth to your child and you hold the baby for the first time? She was always there for the children. She's not the type of person to walk away. It's just impossible for her to do such a horrible thing.
Meanwhile, back on Chestnut Avenue, Pat's kids have no choice but to continue with their daily lives.
I went to school. I couldn't really concentrate in school because that's what I was thinking about, like where she was and where she was sleeping.
The first week that my mom disappeared, it was like a nightmare. Your worst dream is your mom, and she's not here, and I'm only 10 years old. And it was just hard to comprehend and understand what happened.
Desperate for any lead, Captain Sepp begins to examine the case for signs of foul play.
With missing person cases, we always want to talk to the person who reported them missing. If there's somebody that has their system and their patterns down, they would also know how to hide or disguise things so that we wouldn't find them out. So we had to speak to Jim Viola.
The police call Pat's husband Jim into the station. Investigators are intrigued to discover that records at Jim's office show he took the afternoon of February 13th off from work. Why? Where was he?
If we think that you have information that you're hiding from us, there's only one way to get it from you, and that's to go at you 110%. We had to actually nail down his whereabouts and all his actions surrounding those dates and times.
I took off the afternoon from work and went shopping for Valentine's Day gifts because that was the next day. And your wife goes missing in the afternoon that you decide to take off from work. You know, they question that, of course.
Unfortunately, we have to question everything.
It was a tough interview. They have their methods of talking to you.
And I'm bringing their emotions up and I'm bringing their emotions down, and I'm just trying to find a kink in the armor, if there is one. And after speaking with him and having other detectives come in and interview him and give him a polygraph, there were no kinks in the armor. We checked every angle. Anything that he told us, we proved or disproved.
The police put any doubts about Jim Viola's story to rest. But they're still stymied as to what happened to Pat. 2 weeks pass, and the case seems hopelessly stalled. So Jim Viola and Toinette Markowitz decide to take matters into their own hands. Coming up, Jim and Toinette track down a lead suggesting Pat could be nearby and in distress.
And the girl amazingly remembered that Pat was there, and she saw her.
New Jersey housewife Pat Viola has been missing for 2 weeks. She's left almost no trace, and police have no leads. Her husband Jim and her best friend Toinette are reeling. It seems incomprehensible that Pat is gone, and that trying to find her is now their new daily reality. They start to formulate their own theory. When Pat and Toinette last spoke, Pat brought up Valentine's Day gifts, and that she was looking for something specific.
When she came into Brooklyn for the party, I had this singing monkey. I just wanted like a gag thing to give to my husband. And she loved it, so she wanted one for Jimmy.
And I heard from her friend Toinette that she was in the market for this singing monkey, so I'm thinking she could have gone out shopping for this item.
Jim and Toinette start to wonder if Pat could have suffered a violent seizure while shopping. What if she fell and hit her head, inducing memory loss? Stress can trigger an epileptic fit, and Pat certainly seemed stressed the day before she went missing. Perhaps she's an amnesiac at a hospital somewhere, uncertain of who she is or how to get home.
Since I was extremely upset with the situation, I decided that I had to do what would give me the right to sleep at night when I put my head on the pillow. So I went on foot to find the store that was selling this singing monkey.
In the gift aisle, Toinette finds the exact monkey Pat had been searching for. Then she shows a photo of Pat to the first clerk she sees.
And the girl amazingly remembered that Pat was there, and she saw her.
The clerk doesn't know where Pat went next, but it's the first piece of new information Toinette's heard in weeks, so she's thrilled.
I almost hugged the person in the store when she said to me, "I saw that lady, she was here."
Toinette feels she is closer than ever to finding her best friend. She calls Jim with the news. Jim is standing by to investigate what he believes happened after Pat left the store where the clerk saw her. He takes photos and video of Pat to every single local hospital.
I was very hopeful that the search of the area hospitals might find her because I really thought that was a good theory.
But to his great disappointment, no one remembers seeing Pat. Captain Sepp is less surprised. He believes if the amnesia theory was valid, Pat would have turned up quickly.
Medical centers are all about the bottom line. If they have a patient that has no information and is lost and they have no one to turn them over to, they're going to notify the local police. The local police will then enter the person that they find into the NCIC system. And it would come up with a hit. We would get a match.
Both the police and the Violas are running out of theories to test. It's mid-March. 1 month has now passed since Pat Viola vanished from her home in New Jersey. The investigation has started to falter, and the police need help.
After the search, we turned to the media. We put out press releases. We called newspaper people in. We called television crews in. Anybody that would come listen to our story, we put it out there, and we threw it out there every day. We put it out as many times as possible.
After each new broadcast, Captain Sepp and Jim Viola wait for a miracle. And then, when they least expect it, one seems to appear. A man is driving through the Poconos mountain town of East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania.
We had an article in the Pocono Record with Pat's photo in it. A gentleman in East Stroudsburg who had just read the newspaper article about Pat and seen her picture was driving his car, stopped at a light, and looking across on the side street, he thought he saw Pat.
The town is 70 miles west of Bogota. But when Jim Viola hears about the tip, he's intrigued. He knows Pat is very familiar with the area.
Jim and Pat had a timeshare that they used out in Stroudsburg, just over the border into Pennsylvania from New Jersey. And it was a place that they went to get away.
Certainly the idea that maybe Pat wanted to get away for a couple days crossed through my mind.
Perhaps the argument with Donna pushed her over the edge, and Pat somehow found her way to the mountain house. Could something have happened to her in the Poconos, which left her unable to get back to her family?
So as soon as I found out, I immediately took off from work, went down to the area. I spent the whole day there.
Jim went and posted missing flyers and posters all throughout the area.
I was all over it. We got TV coverage in the area, and it sounded promising.
Jim can't help but be hopeful as he talks to every cafe and diner employee he sees. But the tip that seems so promising yields little concrete information.
Somebody did call, and they thought that maybe they had seen her, but the information turned out to be useless to us.
Throughout the next several months, leads come pouring in every time Pat's story airs on television.
Whenever you get a tip, it really lifts up your spirits, and you are all over it.
Over the next year, Jim and his family live through the emotional ups and downs of dozens of sightings and tips.
Your adrenaline just comes right in and doesn't stop flowing until you hear, "No, I'm sorry, it wasn't her."
Coming up, a horrifying call sends police scrambling in pursuit of a murderer.
His exact words were, "I killed the old girl."
Captain James Sepp has been tirelessly working to find Pat Viola for over a year. Well over a year into the case, he received a startling phone call.
I was working one night in the Detective Bureau, and my phone rang. And a gentleman on the other end just came right out and said, "I killed Pat Viola." His exact words were, "I killed the old girl." It really piqued my interest, although the person did say one thing that was very odd. "I have her driver's license." Well, she didn't have her driver's license.
The comment makes Captain Sepp wary. He knows Pat's license had been suspended 3 months before she went missing. But he still can't ignore this call.
It's very possible maybe she left with an old driver's license. I couldn't be absolutely positive, so I kept the person on the phone as long as I could, and the entire conversation was recorded. I called the Bergen County Prosecutor's Office, and I asked them to put a trace on the phone call that came into headquarters, and they were able to trace back the records to an address in Florida.
The connection seems tenuous, but if the police can track down this man, they may just find out what happened to Pat Viola. The man on the phone says he is getting on a bus that's heading up the East Coast toward Massachusetts. Then, he offers the name of a woman who will be traveling with him. New York and New Jersey area police mobilize a unit in North Carolina to stop the bus on the highway. But once on board, they find no one that could possibly be the caller. But they do find the woman he mentioned, and she knows exactly what's going on.
She confirmed for us that it was her ex-boyfriend, and her ex-boyfriend was harassing her because she'd left him for another man and was going up to his place in Massachusetts.
The entire episode is a bizarre ruse.
Basically, it was a way for him to try to get back at his ex-girlfriend for leaving him. He thought it was a great way to harass her. Turned out it really wasn't.
And as work on the Pat Viola case continues, it becomes harder to bring in new and accurate information, even when tipsters mean well.
After a while, people have heard it all. They've read it. And then their memories start becoming what they read and what they saw on TV, as opposed to what their actual memory is.
The case goes cold for several more years. Ten years after Patricia Viola vanishes, a private investigator named Gary Miko is in his home office in New Jersey.
I came onto this case by reading an article online about the plight of the missing and the unidentified in our country, and was appalled. I didn't know what I could do. I thought maybe I could help someone. I began by searching missing persons in New Jersey and stumbled across the Patricia Viola website.
Miko is touched by how much time and effort has been poured into creating the website. He calls Jim Viola to volunteer his services.
The first thing I needed to do was just get an overview of the case. I drove up here to view the neighborhood, to see it, to feel it, to be here 11:30, 11:40 a.m., the same time that she went missing. I wanted to see what she saw. I wanted to walk where she walked.
Miko tracks down the mailman whose route ran through Pat's neighborhood years before, on the day Pat went missing. He remembers seeing her walking home that day. And then the mailman says something strange.
The mailman says, "I can't believe there's not a connection between what happened in 1997 across the street from the Viola residence and Patricia's disappearance."
Investigator Miko's surprised to learn that another dark event occurred on Chestnut Avenue.
October 23rd, 1997, there was a triple homicide in a house across the street from where Jim Viola and his wife Pat lived. It was a robbery that turned bad, and the home invasion turned out to be the scene of a triple homicide.
The neighbor was a diamond dealer, and gems were at the heart of the robbery. The murderers were quickly caught, thanks to a neighborhood tipster who spotted a suspicious-looking man waiting in a car.
That guy turned out to be the getaway driver for the men who were actually inside the house killing the people at the time.
At first, the hideous crime doesn't seem to have any connection to Pat's disappearance.
Well, you hear that, but that's 1997 is a triple murder. This is now 2001. How could 1997 overlap into 2001?
Then, Gary Miko stumbles across a tantalizing fact. He learns that the murder trials were going on in late 2000 and early 2001. And during that time, there was a nefarious turn of events. One of the murderers, faced with the prospect of a life sentence, decides to do away with some witnesses.
One of the individuals, I guess he spoke to people at the jail and he was looking to hire a hitman. He thought that if people weren't around to testify against him, it would make his case a lot easier. Fortunately for us, someone in the jail turned this information over to the sheriff's department, and we were able to get an undercover detective from the Bergen County Prosecutor's Office in to pose as a hitman.
Thanks to the planted hitman, the county prosecutor is able to foil the plot. Still, several people in the neighborhood wonder if through some connection to this case, harm may have come to Pat Viola. Could the murderers on trial have assumed Pat Viola was the watchful neighbor that turned them in? The Bogota police aren't convinced.
Pat Viola was never part of that investigation. She wasn't a witness, she wasn't spoken to, she didn't come forward with anything. The only coincidence between the triple homicides and Pat Viola was the fact that she lives on the block.
Still, many find it hard to believe that two incredible events on the same quiet block of a small town are unrelated. Perhaps there was more to the tripped alarm the morning Pat disappeared than anyone realized.
Burglars do hit homes twice. They do hit the same homes twice. It does happen. And with the amount of press, and there was a lot of it at the time in 2001 on the trial, maybe some bad guys were reading the paper again. Maybe they said, well, you know what, they're still living in the home. They're still involved in diamonds. Maybe we need to hit it again. Maybe they hit the wrong house. It's a major stretch, but it's 10 years later. She's not here. You need to look into it.
2010, a national missing persons group called Jim with an offer to help.
They do a cross-country tour where they feature up to 100 missing persons. But this particular year was special. Pat was selected to be the main honoree for the entire tour.
The release of the balloons into the air brought goosebumps to everybody, because no matter what, you just don't forget people you love.
The tributes are comforting, but they don't make up for the sorrow Pat's family feels on days she would have cherished.
I got married on November 25th, 2009. I got emotional at my wedding because it was hard for me and I wish she was there.
Well, holidays these days are very tough. Whenever the holiday time rolls around, you know, I tell myself, I can't do this. But every year I manage to do it. You know, I pull it together for the kids, you know, put up the tree. You know, the tree we bought together in 2000. And that's the tree I put up.
For families of the missing, it's not just holidays that are difficult.
I think about my mom every day, especially when I'm with my kids.
Everything you do, it's on your mind. You don't want to do anything else. You know, you're sitting in front of the TV, you're watching the ball game, and you feel like you shouldn't be doing this. You feel guilty. You should be out there trying to find her.
I think about my mom every day before I go to bed, and her whereabouts, her well-being, and just hoping that she comes home.
person disappears without a trace, often the most critical information is hidden in their actions and words from the days before they vanished. Amber Gerwick's last known whereabouts may hold the clues to what happened to her. Mother of 4, Amber Gerwick, vanishes suddenly from her Jackson, Michigan home.
My heart just went into my throat.
Clues found halfway across the country paint a frightening picture.
I saw the video and I just literally could not breathe.
Then, old wounds threatened to tear Amber's family apart.
I had been through this once before when my brother disappeared. With him, they found a body.
How could we as a family endure a disappearance again?
What happens next stuns even the most hardened cops.
Every now and then, no matter how many cases you've done, somebody will throw a curveball at you from left field.
It's a crisp spring morning in Jackson, Michigan, a small city in the Midwestern hub of the Rust Belt. Homemaker Diane Spice lives 5 miles north in the sleepy suburb of Blackman Township.
It was a normal, regular day, and the phone rang at early. It was like 10 minutes to 8.
The call is about Diane's niece, Amber.
It was Amber's boss telling me that she had not been to work for 2 days.
32-year-old Amber Gerwick works as an administrative assistant at a local consulting firm.
Amber worked for a company that contracted with Homeland Security. She enjoyed her job. She had just gotten a promotion, was really happy about that.
She was really excited. She was going from working in a cubicle to having an office of her own.
But it isn't just work that keeps Amber busy.
She was taking a medical administration course part-time at school, working full-time.
She was maintaining a 4.0 average while taking care of a family.
Amber has 4 children. She and her ex-husband share custody. Amber was at a good place in her life.
To Diane, her niece's sudden absence from work seems out of character.
For her not to show up for 2 days without calling in was very unusual. So I thought, well, maybe she's sick.
Amber has recently moved to a 1-bedroom apartment a few minutes from her Aunt Diane's home. Diane decides to check in on her. But she's greeted by nothing but a cold silence.
I knocked on the door pretty loudly, as loud as I could. I pounded on it for a few minutes, and I listened in to see if I could hear any sounds, but there was nothing.
Minutes later, Diane breaks the troubling news to Amber's mother, Jackie Seeger.
She asked if we had heard anything from Amber recently, and I said, well, we talked to her Saturday.
Jackie and her husband Dale speak with their daughter regularly.
Amber lives in Michigan, and I live in Georgia, and that's a long ways away. So in order to stay in touch, Amber and I talked to one another on the phone.
On April 9th, 2 days earlier, Amber was her usual talkative self.
She said that the kids were with their father that weekend, and that she was going to study for the day.
But Amber never mentioned plans to miss work. Immediately concerned, Jackie tries her daughter's cell phone.
There was no answer whatsoever, just would go to her voicemail.
Well, we decided at that point there needed to be a missing persons report filed.
Diane files a report with the Blackman Township Department of Public Safety.
Well, the next step was, of course, going to her apartment and searching.
We felt it was important to check and make sure that she wasn't physically injured and laying in the apartment or worse.
Within the hour, patrol officers arrive at Amber's apartment. But Amber is nowhere to be found.
The police had crime scene investigative people there searching the apartment. They had called the detectives at that point.
Leading the investigation is veteran detective Robert Schrock.
As we entered, we made contact with the patrol officers that were on scene.
At first glance, nothing appears out of the ordinary.
There was no sign of like a struggle or altercation. The apartment wasn't in any type of disarray. There was food in the fridge. She also didn't appear to have packed any clothes. All indicators that she probably wasn't going somewhere for long.
But then, one item suddenly catches his attention.
Amber's purse was sitting by the door. Missing from the purse was her wallet, keys to the vehicle, and the vehicle was not at the apartment.
The evidence found in the apartment leads police to believe that Amber had left willingly. Until Detective Schrock reaches the bedroom at the end of the hall.
As I walked into the bedroom, I located a cell phone sitting on the bed. And the cell phone was still on.
A laptop and various school books are also strewn across the bed.
So it looked like she just got up and took off.
The objects left behind in the bedroom raise a new level of concern.
It made it more suspicious because most people won't leave their cell phone.
We were completely mystified. We did not know what could have caused her to leave the apartment without her cell phone, because it was attached to her like, you know, it was part of her skin.
Detective Schrock begins to piece together possible scenarios.
It's one of two things. It's either Amber didn't want to be contacted, or somebody got a hold of her.
Did somebody bring in?
Leave the family with a host of agonizing questions. But none points police towards an answer.
It was important to get going on this because the last time anyone had spoke to her was on the 9th. A couple days had already gone by, so we were already behind on trying to figure out what had happened.
When Detective Schrock returns to the station, he enters Amber into the National Crime Information Center, or NCIC. The system will raise a red flag if Amber or her vehicle appear on police radar for any reason.
At that point, we were kind of in this limbo. Like, what do we do?
We are sitting here in Georgia. She's missing in Michigan. You know, who do we contact? Who do we talk to? Where do we turn for help?
Then, only 3 hours later, the case takes a startling turn.
And then suddenly we get this call that the car turned up in Georgia as an abandoned car in Tunnel Hill.
I remember having to have that repeated to me because I must have heard it wrong. Her car couldn't have been in Tunnel Hill, Georgia.
And here's her car, 600 miles away from Jackson, where she lives. And we're like, now what?
Coming up, police uncover a puzzling new clue.
I saw the video and I just literally could not breathe.
Mother of 4 Amber Gerwick has gone missing from her home in Jackson, Michigan. But just 3 hours after her family filed a missing persons report, Amber's car turned up in the parking lot of a Dollar General store in Georgia, over 600 miles from Jackson.
And everything changed. The search had suddenly moved from Michigan to Georgia.
What's most perplexing is not the SUV's distance from Amber's home in Jackson, but rather its proximity to her parents' home in Calhoun.
That's about 35 miles north of us. It's way off the highway. It's just kind of an out-of-the-way place.
According to Tunnel Hill Police, the SUV was abandoned in the parking lot at least 2 days earlier.
Did she drive the car down here? Did someone force her to drive the car down? Did someone do something to her and then take her car?
One day after Amber is reported missing, the case is turned over to Detective Eric Burnett of the Whitfield County Sheriff's Department in Georgia. Detective Burnett invites the Seegers down to the station to discuss some new developments in the case.
I met with Miss Gerwick's parents the first time at my office, the sheriff's office. Asked them about their daughter, what kind of person she was, what kind of friends she has. I told them what we'd found in the car.
He said initially there appeared to be no signs of a struggle inside of the vehicle. There was no signs of violence. There was no blood evidence.
However, what police did find in the front seat of Amber's car raises a slew of new questions.
Miss Gerwick's wallet was located in the car. There was no money there. It was just a debit card and her driver's license.
Police also found Amber's keys locked inside the SUV.
That was very strange to me.
If Amber drove the car, why would she leave her most important possessions behind? But then, if Amber were abducted, why would the kidnapper leave her possessions out in the open?
We ran all kind of scenarios, what might have happened to her. But the more we did that, the more confused we got. Is she running from anybody? Has someone done something to her? Those are questions that we needed to have answers for pretty quick.
There had to be something wrong for her to lock her billfold and her keys in. And the only thought that goes through my mind was she did that deliberately so somebody would know that she had been there, like leaving the breadcrumb trail.
Then, Detective Burnett reveals the most valuable piece of evidence found in the SUV, a small paper receipt. The receipt lists a number of purchases made at the Dollar General store. But since the receipt was locked inside Amber's SUV, whoever was driving the car must have been a customer at the store. And chances are, this person was caught on one of the Dollar General's many surveillance cameras.
Based on the receipt, we knew the time and a date of where to look. We wanted to see exactly who was in that store. We went to the Dollar General store and met with the manager at the store to watch the video.
Detective Burnett cues the footage up to Sunday, April 10th at 8:04 a.m., the time stamped on the receipt. What it reveals will turn the investigation on its head.
This is a surveillance video. It showed a female in there buying several items and leaving the store. She was a white female. She had a University of Kentucky blue sweatshirt on, blue jeans and tennis shoes.
I saw the video and I just literally could not breathe. Looked at the monitor and there's my daughter.
It was her. I mean, there was no doubt in my mind it was her, and it stopped me dead in my tracks.
You see her come in. She walks around. She picks up her items. She stops at the checkout. Guy comes to check her out. She kind of says hello to him. She picks up a chapstick or something right there by the cash register, pays for her stuff.
And she turned to the left and she just disappeared.
Amber's appearance on video ends here. There are no surveillance cameras in the Dollar General parking lot.
That's it. That's all we have. We have no way to know what happened when she left the store.
We watched it over and over. I just wanted to reach out and touch her. I just wanted to say, where are you, Amber?
The footage leaves the Seegers with more questions than answers.
She hasn't contacted us. She hasn't attempted to contact us, and why not? Where is she?
Never did I feel that Amber had gotten to Georgia willfully. I don't know why, how, but I know it's not of her own accord.
She looked up at the camera. She looks right at the surveillance camera, and we're like, okay, were we supposed to notice that? Was she trying to tell us something?
All theories aside, the Seegers must accept a painful reality. Over 3 days have passed since Amber was last seen alive.
It's like the big abyss of the unknown right before you.
My baby girl has been there, and I feel stronger now than ever before that she's in harm's way, and I can't help her.
Coming up, as the search effort expands, police turn their attention to a murky swamp in Tunnel Hill.
Dad and I both felt that this was going to end badly.
Amber Gerwig has not been heard from for 4 days. Georgia police spotted her on surveillance footage from a convenience store in the small town of Tunnel Hill, Georgia, over 600 miles from her home in Michigan. Oddly, it's just under 30 miles from her parents' house. But Amber has not been seen since, and her parents are beginning to fear the worst.
The problem is that, yeah, you saw her alive there, but you don't know what's happened in the meantime. Okay, she made it to Georgia, but she only made it as far as Tunnel Hill. How come she's not here?
No new leads have surfaced in the last 24 hours, and Amber's father, Dale, is growing restless.
Very much a helpless feeling. I don't know what to do. I haven't slept 2 nights before. Emotionally, I'm just torn up.
Dale decides to play a more active role in the investigation.
I finally had enough. I had to go looking for Amber.
He drives to the site of Amber's last known whereabouts, the Dollar General store.
I had to walk up and down the aisles. I know that I'm not going to find her there, but I know that that's where she was. And I walked up and down these same aisles. I'm in the aisle where they have the lotions and the shampoos and the stuff, and I walk up and down that. And while I'm walking, I'm thinking, Amber, what's happened to you?
There are no new clues to be found inside. But outside, the store's property borders an expanse of densely wooded swampland.
So I walked out and back, and I walked a grid pattern by myself, looking for my daughter in the tall grass. I'm not going to deviate from a straight line for nothing. So I'm walking through the brambles, I'm walking through the berry bushes, I'm walking through everything.
Dale is driven by instinct, but terrified of what he might find.
I climbed down in the drainage culvert, walked that from one end to the other, and walked out there through the mud as much as I could to find her.
After trudging through acres of jagged bramble and putrid swamp, Dale can go no further.
I just sat there and looked down. I was all scratched up, my legs were all muddy and everything. I remember buying some bottled water and washing my legs and stuff off. And I remember the dread of going home because I had not been successful.
The Sheriff's Department enlists the help of the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, a state-run criminal justice organization.
Well, the GBI, they have more resources than we do. They bring us more manpower for searches.
Heading up the case is Special Agent Daniel Sims.
Time is of a critical element. The first couple of days is very important in the collection of facts and evidence, mainly because those things are perishable. They can go away. As far as investigative work, Amber was at the top of the list.
The first official step for the Bureau is to mount an extensive search throughout Tunnel Hill.
We organized a search with about 30 emergency personnel The area around the Dollar General store is extremely rural. And it's hilly, if not mountainous. We wanted to make sure that she wasn't in the woods. Other officers searched the railroad tracks that transversed that strip mall that the Dollar General is part of. And we also had some individuals search the swampy area behind the Dollar General itself. And we did neighborhood canvas searches, went door to door.
This may be an awful thing to admit, but when they said that they were going to go back up there and search, I actually prayed that they wouldn't find Amber, because that would mean a body, not my daughter.
You go into it with the hopes and aspirations that you'll find her alive. But at the same time, having traveled down these investigative roads before, you keep your eyes open for anything that's on the ground or motionless, or, of course, the discovery of the human body.
But after an exhaustive search, the team comes up empty. Though Agent Sims is undeterred, the failure to uncover new evidence is a blow to morale.
The longer that anyone is missing, the chances of finding them lessens.
Dad and I both expressed that we felt that this was going to end badly, that there really wasn't a lot of hope. It was very hard to be hopeful because of the history as a family.
Although it's hard to fathom, Amber's disappearance is actually a familiar trauma for the Seeger family.
I had been through this once before when my brother disappeared.
It was winter, it was in January, and he tried to go to this party and he got lost and got stuck in the snow. We didn't know where he was for 2 years. He died of hypothermia. It was horrible for our family.
How could we as a family endure a long-term disappearance again? Would we be able to get through something like that?
Coming up, Amber's father suddenly finds himself at the center of the investigation.
And I remember breaking down. I found it unconscionable, but somebody could make that accusation against me.
Missing Michigan resident Amber Gerwit was last seen alive on April 10th, 2011, in a small-town Georgia convenience store. But in the days and weeks following, in spite of a concentrated search effort led by state and local police, no new leads have materialized.
When you know that you have a missing person and their family's grieving, it's hard not to think about that even when you're off duty. And I found myself thinking a lot about Amber and where she might be.
Distraught by the lack of answers, Amber's parents devote every spare moment to searching for their daughter.
Obviously, the detectives and the police and sheriffs and Agent Sims were all doing their part, but we needed to be doing something as well.
Amber's brother, Sean, designs a missing persons poster for his parents to distribute around town.
It had 3 pictures of Amber on it. Probably the most important picture, believe it or not, was a large angel tattoo on her shoulder. I was never happy that Amber got tattooed until we had this huge angel that we could put out there and say, here's an identifying mark that you can use to find her.
When she was younger, she was enamored with angels, and we're talking from an early age. We're talking 3 years old.
I had an angel pin, and when I saw the pin, I'd forgotten I had it. I pulled it out and I put it on. It served to help me. You know, I wore it every single day.
The Seegers launch a broad campaign to get the word out.
That poster was distributed in literally thousands of those things. We're all over the southeast United States.
We had put her listing on Facebook. We would post it and we would ask our friends to repost it, and Amber's friends were posting it and reposting it.
Dale and Jackie are desperate for their efforts to yield some new leads.
That was my full-time job, was finding Amber.
Meanwhile, Agent Sims is working every angle, including some of the darkest places on the criminal landscape.
There is a certain segment of our society that are predators, and they do target people. We did focus on local sex offender databases, and we actually interviewed some people that were on that list.
Then, on April 27th, disaster strikes the South.
Northeast Alabama and Northwest Georgia and Southeastern Tennessee got hammered with a series of F4 tornadoes. We had to divert ourselves from the investigation to focus on rescue efforts. It was a pretty trying time for everybody in the Northwest Georgia region.
Suddenly, at the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, Amber's case is no longer priority number one.
We knew that he literally did not have time. That was rather devastating for us.
There might be, 2 or 3 hours a day that I could focus on Amber's investigation, and then it was right back to our efforts in helping the communities that were afflicted by the tornadoes.
But despite Agent Sims' vigilance, weeks go by with no new answers. For the Seegers, each passing day erodes their hopes of finding their daughter.
Amber had been missing for 3.5 weeks. We cried, we prayed, we didn't sleep. It was a real tough time. We were running out of ideas.
On May 4th at 1:30 p.m., Special Agent Sims calls the Seegers down to the station. He says he has an important matter to discuss with them.
He met us at the Sheriff's Department here in Gordon County, and he said that he needed to question us separately.
I told her that we had investigated the case thoroughly, that we had absolutely no evidence to suggest that her daughter had become the victim of foul play. We had no evidence that she was alive.
He said, we have no more leads. We don't know where to look anymore.
It wasn't that we were stopping the investigation. It was just at the stage where we knew that it would be easy to perceive that the investigation was grinding to a halt.
That was extremely upsetting.
For Jackie, what Agent Sims told her is almost impossible to accept. But when Agent Sims sits down with Dale, the news only gets worse.
During that meeting with him, he said something to me. Somebody had made the accusation that I knew where Amber was, and I was helping her to stay hidden.
Information had come our way that Dale would do this, and it was a bridge that I felt like I had to cross with him.
Dale feels blindsided by the accusation.
I remember breaking down. I found it unconscionable, but somebody could make that accusation against me.
One of the most unpleasant parts of my job is when I've got to sit down with somebody who is truly grieving and then challenge them as to whether they have committed a crime. I didn't feel like that the Seegers had engaged in this type of activity, but I just had to cross that bridge.
Agent Sims is convinced of Dale's innocence, but it comes as little relief.
After we got done with that discussion, he told me there was just nothing more they could do. I remember walking out of that interview room and feeling like I was carrying a 10-ton weight.
The Seegers' lives have taken on a hollow sadness they are convinced they will have to live with forever. But they soon would be proven dead wrong. Later that day, Agent Sims gets an unexpected call.
A few hours after I had this meeting with the Seegers, I received a call from the Whitfield County Sheriff's Office. One of the secretaries in the investigative division said, "You need to contact the Joliet, Illinois Police Department. There's a detective there that wants to speak to you." No matter how many cases you've done, no matter how many investigations that you have undertaken, every now and then somebody will throw a curveball at you from left field.
Only 2 hours after returning home, the Seegers' phone rings.
It was Special Agent Sims. I recognized the phone number and I said, "Yes, Special Agent." He says they've located a woman in Joliet, Illinois, who matches Amber's description, that has amnesia.
Their department had found a young female wandering in a city park and had flagged down the police. She was suffering from memory loss, did not know who she was, and that they had been dealing with a Jane Doe.
Then he says something Amber's father will never forget.
This woman had a tattoo of an angel on her back.
Coming up, a dramatic break in the case is not exactly what it seems.
I'm looking into a face that isn't right. I don't know how to explain it. She just didn't look right.
It's been 3.5 weeks since missing mother Amber Gerwick was last seen in Tunnel Hill, Georgia. Her family had all but given up hope of finding her when they received some astonishing news. An unidentified woman suffering from memory loss was found in Joliet, Illinois, nearly 600 miles north of Tunnel Hill. Joliet police think it's Amber.
They've located a woman that matched her description identically, that had an angel tattoo on her right shoulder.
In Joliet, the story of the woman who lost her memory had caught the attention of the local media, who broadcast a photo of the mysterious woman. The photo was seen by someone familiar with the missing person flyer posted on Facebook.
The Facebook communication was that this is the person you're looking for. She's Amber Gerwick.
Sims sends the Seegers a photo of the woman taken at Silver Cross Hospital in Joliet.
And there was Amber in a hospital bed, staring at us. I just said, "It's her. It's her." And Dale's like, "It's her. She's there. She's alive." We were jumping, we were screaming, we were crying.
My happiness wasn't even close to their happiness. Over the phone, you could hear that weight being lifted, you know, and all of a sudden this flood of hope coming into their heart that, you know, their daughter's alive.
But Dale notices something strange in the photograph.
I'm looking at Amber's picture, and I know it's Amber, but I'm looking into a face that isn't right. She just didn't look right.
Her eyes were empty, and I didn't see Amber's personality shining back at me.
Despite their misgivings about the photo, the Seegers are eager to get to Joliet. They pack their bags and begin the 600-mile drive that night. The next morning, Dale and Jackie head straight to the hospital.
The nurses gave us an update on Amber's condition and what was going on. She was unharmed. She was fine. The only thing that was wrong was her memory.
Amber is suffering from one of the most complex and puzzling conditions in medicine: transient global amnesia.
She didn't remember being married. She didn't remember having children. She just forgotten her life.
Dr. Lucy at Silver Cross put it this way: 99.99% of the doctors in this country will go through their entire career practicing medicine and will never see this type of amnesia, ever.
That afternoon, the Seegers finally get the chance to see their daughter face to face.
We saw Amber. And she was holding a little stuffed dog they had given her in the ER. And what I remember is my daughter taking one look at us. And she grabbed that doll and she hung it real close and she started crying and said, "I don't know you. I don't remember you." And she just cried. I mean, she was just sobbing. And Jackie and I reassured her that was fine, that was no problem.
We had talked in the car and prepared ourselves for the possibility that she might not know us.
But for Amber, the reunion is a frightening realization of just how much she had lost.
They terrified me because I didn't know them. It was devastating not knowing who your parents are. Worse than not knowing who you are. These are the people who raised me. I remembered them the way they were when I was little, but I didn't know who they were at that moment.
Amber can only remember her life up to age 12. Almost all memories from her adult life have vanished.
I'd look in the mirror and the face that was looking back at me was not the face that I would expect. You know, I'd expect to look in the mirror and see that kid that I was, and it was an adult looking back at me.
The Seegers spend the next few days slowly walking Amber through the last 2 decades of her life.
They were explaining to me that I'd been missing and how long I'd been gone and how she had this angel pin. And I loved angels.
I gave her the pin and
Particularly, what happened the night she disappeared? Fortunately, Amber can recall her last hours of lucidity.
I remember studying, sitting at my computer, trying to get schoolwork done.
In the early evening, Amber took a break from studying and headed to a nearby convenience store.
I remember going down to the car and getting there and realizing I'd left my phone upstairs. All I had grabbed was my keys and my wallet. I didn't see any reason to go back upstairs to grab my phone when I was only going to be gone for a few minutes. I went to the convenience store down the road. I picked up a couple of small things there, and then that's it. It just stops. It's like there's nothing else after that until I remember the hospital.
Doctors assume Amber spent the next 3.5 weeks in what is known as a dissociative fugue state.
Dr. Lucy told us that the person that is in the fugue state can still operate. They can take care of themselves. They just don't know what's going on. They don't remember it.
But no one knows what triggered the episode.
We know that a traumatic event can cause global amnesia. That's what we believe happened.
Amber numerous times has been very specific in a fear that a man walks up behind her, puts his left hand on her right shoulder and spins her around. This is something new.
I believe that somebody grabbed her from behind and either frightened her terribly or did something to her and she ran.
Amber is still haunted by the dark gaps in her memory. She still has no idea where she was, where she ate, or where she slept at night during her fugue state.
I refuse to think about what happened during those 3.5 weeks when I was missing. What caused me to walk away? What caused me to just disappear like that? What happened to me while I was gone? I could drive myself crazy thinking about those things. I've had to stop thinking about it and just accept that those 3.5 weeks are gone and that I'll never get them back, even if I get the rest of my life back.
Today, Amber is still working to recover the memories she lost, but she has a positive outlook towards the future.
There's so much she doesn't know, so much she doesn't remember, and she wants to know it all. She wants to learn it all.
She's remembering a little bit more each day.
The Amber that you see today is the Amber that she's always been. There's really no change in her personality. Her sense of humor is the same.
The best thing that has come out of having amnesia, I've had this opportunity to examine my life and the decisions that I made from an almost a third-person perspective. How many people get a chance to re-examine their life like that?
Through her ordeal, Amber has learned a valuable lesson.
The one thing in the world that mattered the most to me is that people don't lose hope. You have to keep hoping that if somebody that you love is missing, that they're out there. It means the world to me to remember every day how many people refused to give up that I would be found. You can't give up. You have to keep hoping.